Okay.
Great.
And if folks can just mute until we're done with the presentation, and then we're going to open it up to questions for you guys and discussion, hear about some of your opportunities as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Do we have a poll, Christina, or did I rush you too fast?
It's being really weird, and it's actually not. It's not.
It must be easy. Yeah, that's okay. It might just be easy. Like if I'm curious to know if you have any experience with farm to school, you can say yes or no in the chat, or if you feel like elaborating on your farm to school experience at your own schools, feel free to put that in the chat. Great. So we have a farmer on the call. That's great. And some schools. Okay. So welcome to this informational webinar, or it's really just an informal meeting. We want to spark your creative thinking with this presentation and then get your thoughts and ideas. So we can go to the next slide. I am Katie. I am the Food Systems Director at West Central Missouri Community Action Agency, and we've been working on food systems work for over 7 years now, and one of our latest initiatives is a Farm to School program, and Jacqueline Carroll is our Farm to School specialist, and she's farming her own little family right now. She just had a baby on Sunday night, so she is not here, but she'll be back to work in early May and hitting the ground running, so we're hoping to get her back in the saddle here. But in the meantime, I am going to talk about Farm to School. We do know something about the subject. We worked with Hickory County Schools for a while to try to help them with procurement, and now we're working in Nevada and some other places too. So, all right, so we can move on to the next slide. Yeah, so Farm to School is really based on 3 principles. And you can implement it in any way as simple as, putting in one local food item in your cafeteria, you're participating in Farm to School. But if you wanted to do a whole dynamic thing with Farm to School, there are 3 basic concepts. One is local food procurement, and also school gardens where kids can get involved in actually growing the food, and then agriculture and food education where farmers can actually, kids can actually go onto farms, maybe farmers come and actually speak in the classroom. So that's another part of it. Also curriculum around what local food means, and farming is part of Farm to School. And every Farm to School program looks different because every school is different. All right, and some of the benefits of Farm to School are threefold. They, can you advance the slide there, Christina? Having technical difficulties. There we go. So in Farm to School, we believe that kids win, farmers win, and communities win. Kids win because they really feel a connection to their food, and I think that offers a lot, not just a health benefit, but a spiritual and emotional benefit. I believe when we're connected to our food, we definitely feel better about what we're eating and about the communities that we live in. Farmers win because they get access to a new market, and also farmers love feeding kids. I'm a farmer too, and when my cherry tomatoes go to schools, I get really excited about that opportunity because we want to feed the next generation, and we know our food is good, so we're excited about that. And of course, communities win because there's more community involvement, there's more connection between farmer and kids, and that farmer is a local business. They may even have kids in that school. And so there's strength in the economy, there's new jobs, and there's community connections. And we have just a really short video for you from the Lee Summit School District, who is currently buying food. Yes, in March, they are buying local food from the Kansas City Food Hub. And she's going to talk just a little bit about why it's important for them to do local food procurement. So hopefully this video will work. We'll get our fingers crossed here and see if this will play.
Yes, please let me know if it works.
Oh, no sound.
Is the audio not working?
The audio is not working.
No. I'm so sad.
So when there's a share option, you can share audio, choose to share audio as well.
Okay, let me just check this.
And if this doesn't work, we will share a link to the video, and you guys can, a link to the buyer video that we produced through our Beginning Farmer Rancher Development Grant. And it has a lot more of the director speaking about her local food procurement and why they buy local food. And it's easy to jump to her as well in that video.
I think it might work now. Let me just hit it.
And lettuce.
Let me know if you can hear it.
The tomatoes we use for sandwiches, we use them in our salads, we use them in catering. They're fresher, they're a better quality, and lettuce, you can't beat local lettuce. When it's grown local, you can tell a difference. The shelf life is longer, and I just think the taste is better. I think one of the big things about purchasing local, it helps not only our school district, it helps the farmers, it helps our economy locally and statewide. I also feel that purchasing local, our students learn more, and I think they appreciate more when they know and they can meet farmers. So I think it helps them want to start growing things. We have a high need right now and a lot of requests for school gardens. And I think that has come from some of the local farmers telling the kids, you know, the work they put into it, the appreciation they have from the school districts for being able to provide fresh produce. So I just think it gives them a great awareness of where our food comes from.
Okay. Hopefully everyone could hear that. Sorry about that. Let's see.
There is
go to the next slide. Okay. All right, Katie, you can take it away on the school garden.
Sorry, I was muted. I think we keep getting all muted and then I get muted. So anyways, sorry. Don't you just love technical difficulties with Zoom, especially in rural communities? Like my computer's already crashed like 3 times with this video because it's cloudy outside. So we're working through that. I did just put a link to the video in the chat that has a lot more from our Lisa friend, and she talks a lot more about buying local, and there's other buyers on that video, so I encourage you to check that out. Also, if you know some farmers, we have some beginning farmer videos on there on how to do wholesale on certain vegetables. Just two examples we're going to talk about just real quick about schools implementing farm to school. This one's in Lafayette, Missouri, Daly Elementary. They've been doing farm to school since 2014. And over the years, the program has evolved. You know, you're going to start these programs and they're going to change and shift with, you know, the teacher that's leading them, with the kids' ideas about what they want to do with the food. This particular garden, you know, a lot of times we're out of school when the garden's at its peak. And so this particular school actually started focusing on fall planting and all of the stuff that they grow. They had been doing some selling at the farmer's market as a program with the kids in the summertime, but it switched now to fall planting, and all that food goes into the cafeteria. And so depending on who you're working with, I know some of you work with OFA and other food procurement organizations that come into the cafeterias, and you just have to work with them. It's a little more complicated maybe, but they do work with schools in that way. Another example is Earth Dance Farms in Ferguson, Missouri. And this is more of an example of, you can switch to the next slide there, Christina. And this is an example of a farm visit site. So they host a lot of they host a lot of elementary kids. You can see there, they're showing them their greenhouse. This is really an opportunity for kids to go out and check out what a farm looks like. And there are other farms that host farm visits for schools. I know Chateau does a lot of them. That's one of the bigger farms, but some of the smaller farms too would host if, you know, they can work with them on make sure the insurance liability and all that stuff is in alignment with what you need. But farmers will definitely think about that. And a lot of times if you want to do those things, think about whether or not you can compensate that farmer for spending, you know, a few hours of their time on their farm with the kids. That's always helpful for farmers because they are usually understaffed and overworked. Okay, so just to give you an idea of farm to school programs, we are doing some great things already in Missouri. A lot of our schools are involved in farm to school. So 58% of farms in Missouri, or excuse me, schools in Missouri are participating and have been participating for a little less than 3 years. And so we're excited to get that number higher. And some support organizations for Farm to School nationally. We have the Farm to School Network. So you can go to the next slide there, Christina. And there's some great information on there for teachers, for educators, for practitioners, even farmers. There's good information there. There's curriculum. There's ideas for how to incorporate this stuff into your classrooms. And then there's also the USDA, which is where we got our grant funding from. They also have resources on their webpage. Schools are eligible for applying for Farm to School grants, and we would love to help you if you have any interest in, taking your Farm to School program to the next level. You can go to the next slide, Christina. To the next level and applying to USDA for Farm to School activities. Another resource here is the Eat Local map, which is on the next slide. And that was developed out of the University of Missouri. So it's called Local Food Mo, I believe, is the link. And maybe Christina, if you can look that link up and stick it in the chat so people have it. And you can look and see if there's a farm near you. This was self-listed. I think they listed a lot of farms, but then other farmers could list their own farms. And it's just an opportunity to connect with local food in your area. So let's go to the next slide. I know we're throwing a lot of information at you, but we wanted to make this short and sweet so we weren't taking up too much of your time. And let's see here. So again, our Farm to School program is here to help you. And one of the ways we can help you is if you go to the next slide, Christina, there's a new grant program with the Missouri Department of Agriculture, and it's promoting specialty crops in Missouri schools. And it's basically a reimbursement grant. So if you were to purchase $1,000 worth of local food between April 1st and November 1st, you can apply to get that reimbursed through the Missouri Department of Agriculture. It's a simple form, and we can help you submit that. We can help you with the paperwork. It is first come, first serve until the funds are exhausted. So, if you want to do that at the beginning of your next school year or perhaps over the summer, I believe those things would be eligible. I think we'll go to the next slide. And so a specialty crop is, ironically, all fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, nursery crops, including plants and things like that. So, the thing that's supposed to take up half of your plate on the USDA's recommendation of nutrition is a specialty crop, but we need to grow more of them. And that is what is the definition of a specialty crop. So it would be fruits and vegetables that you're buying from local farmers, or even plants for the garden, I believe would be eligible, but I need to double check on that one. And here are the steps for reimbursement. You complete an application, you submit a paid invoice, and then there's a short survey. And you do have to register in Missouri Buys to be eligible to get reimbursement, which is a fairly simple process. My farm is registered there and it wasn't too hard. Here's a interesting chart just for your sort of understanding of what local foods are available during the school year. This one starts in January and ends in December. So you can see that pickings are a little slim in the winter, but we should have, as farmers scale up and as we're helping them, we have a beginning farmer rancher program where we're trying to help farmers scale up and understand what demand is. And as schools ask for more demand, we can help farmers identify that there's a big demand for winter lettuce, and winter lettuce is very possible. We've already grown about 200 pounds of winter lettuce this year, and winter's over now, but we could grow more if we can get our act together as a farm. But so there's a lot of things, especially like storage crops, sweet potatoes are still available. And then, when you guys open school in August, there's a lot available locally. This just gives you an idea of what is available. And then we have one more slide here, and then we're going to open it up for questions. If you want to get involved, we can help you with a farm to school plan. meeting with you and talking through like what you're interested in. Like I said, Jacqueline's out on maternity leave until May, but if you're super excited to get started, myself or Christina can meet with you and find a time to talk about how to implement farm to school in at your own school. Yeah, so I want to know, after throwing all of that information at you, if you have any questions or what questions you might have. So if you can unmute yourself if you have a question.
Or you can also throw it in the chat. Either one works. Oh, Debbie. Jacqueline had a little girl. She is 6 pounds and 11 ounces.
So I'm curious, we do have a farmer on the call. Sarah, have you done anything with schools? Are you interested? Oh, is she still on the call? I don't think she's still on the call.
I think she might have unfortunately gotten off by accident. So
yeah. So we have Ballard R2. Derek, what are you guys doing with farm to school? Or what are you interested in?
Well, we have purchased, I'm here with my food director. We've purchased from the Amish down near us, and I'm wondering how that would tie into this program. We've gotten like cantaloupe and watermelon and tomatoes and lettuce, just depending on the time of the year, and just kind of seeing how that fit into this system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds to me like you're already, on your road to local food procurement and are doing farm to school. So you are participating, whether you know it or not.
Right.
And I think like if you're having, issues, I'm curious to know how you communicate with those suppliers. Do they have like a go-between for you guys that's easy to work with?
A lot of times I believe we just go down there and to their auction, to the actual auction that they have. So,
oh, right.
And then use that,
yeah.
kind of plan our meals accordingly. We're a small enough district that we can pull that off with our numbers of kids. So
which
That's
district
great.
are you in, Derek?
we are in Ballard. We are just near Butler, right off 18 between Adrian and Clinton.
Okay.
So, and then
you're right there in Amish country.
and then kind of wondering how the grant would possibly work or fit into this also to offset some of the costs.
I think.
Yeah. So go ahead, Christina.
I was going to say, I think the only thing is that, I haven't been to a produce auction here. Maybe Katie can speak more to it, but you just need to have your receipts, I believe. Is that correct, Katie? Because it's a reimbursement grant.
Yep, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe. And so April 1st is when it starts. So just here in a couple of days. And if you have any concerns, maybe do we have a link to that grant that we can put in the chat?
Yeah, for sure. I can put that in there.
Yeah. And so I would just look at it's usually a pretty simple process with the state of Missouri. And I think they're trying to make it easy. Reimbursement. Yeah. So you would just need to register with Missouri Buys, which is their sort of like state registration of businesses to make sure that you have a Missouri Buys number. That I guess it just validates that you're a Missouri school and are in part of the state. So then they want it to be Missouri produce. So I assume that auction is mostly Missouri produce. I don't know if it has to say that on the receipt, but it'll have specifications.
I think it all is.
Yeah.
So it's one of the grants and we have to spend it to get reimbursed. And then and you said you'll push out, is that what that link that just came up is for the grant?
Yes. Yes, that's the one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So go there, and I think it's $1,000. Yeah, it's $1,000. And I don't know if is it matching or is it just $1,000?
I think it is just a straight up $1,000. And it's definitely like first come, first serve. I think that's the hardest part with it is in talking with Missouri Department of Agriculture, it's like, okay, well, where's the cap and whatnot. But I think if you take advantage of it sooner than later, those funds won't be exhausted.
And then I would also check, like, can you submit, like, if you only submit for 500 the first time, can you submit for 500 another, like, a second time, or does it have to be like, you know, one submission per, you know, per school?
Okay. So
And there should be a contact in there as well. But if you have any issues, we do have direct contacts who are working on the Missouri Grown grant itself.
Mm-hmm. And this is brand new. They've never done this before. So I believe this is a chunk of the specialty crop block grants that the state of Missouri gets, and they're putting it towards this particular project. And so it'll be a pilot year, I'm sure, for it. See how it goes.
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's all I have. The question was.
Sure. Yeah, good work. Keep up the good work there. You know, if you ever feel like integrating more information about farm to school, you know, adding a curriculum component of, like, you know, when those melons are in season, like, what does melon production look like in Missouri? You know, I know I've heard, this is maybe a little anecdotal, but when schools sort of push, like, they have local broccoli and it's in the cafeteria and they do some curriculum around it, like, the local grocery stores see the broccoli sell out because kids go home and they ask their parents, hey, we were at school, we learned about this broccoli and we had some really good broccoli at lunch. You know, I want broccoli. And of course, parents are gonna be like, you want what? And they're gonna go out to the store and they're gonna buy broccoli. So even the grocery store was like, hey, can you give us a heads up when you do that again? Because we'll make sure we're stocked up on that particular product. So there's ripple effects that we don't understand sometimes from the work we do with our kids, but yeah. And yeah, Bridget, are you with a school or?
Yes, I'm with Appleton City.
Oh, great. Yeah, so do you guys work with Food Fair there then to get some of your
Yes.
produce into the, yeah. And I know sometimes they get in local. Are you guys able to get any local food at Appleton City?
Well, right now we're using the DOD program, so we get the fresh fruit and stuff from them. But we're having summer school, and I kind of wondered if maybe this could be something we could use over the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can help you, you know, try to find the right access point, because that's one of the hard parts of local food, is that the logistics can be really expensive and challenging. And so especially for our smaller schools that might only need a couple of cases a week. And that's where, you know, it's nice that you have that connection with the grocery store, because then maybe they could also take some local food, and it makes it a little bit more lucrative for a farmer to come and deliver.
Well, and that was a question I had. Our FFA has a greenhouse, and I wondered on the grant, is that something where if the FFA grew it and we bought it from the FFA, would that still count since it's Missouri grown, or does it have to be?
I don't know the specific answer to that question. My guess is that it would be fine as long as it was a Missouri produced product. You know, it doesn't have to be a farm business necessarily, I don't think, but that would be something we could probably double check in and get back to you. I believe we have your contact information, so we can look into that.
Okay. I just thought maybe that would make the FFA members really happy to see that the stuff they had grown was in the cafeteria.
Yeah, do they produce food out of the greenhouse? I thought they just did transfer.
I think sometimes they do, like some tomatoes and that kind of stuff, but it was something I thought I could talk to the FFA advisor about and see if that's something they'd be interested in.
Yeah, the only challenging part of the reimbursement program is that it is a reimbursement, and so you have to sort of spend the money without really knowing if it's going to come back to you. So that's a little bit of a risk on the school's part. So maybe they can work on, maybe the Missouri Department of Agriculture can work on that portion of the project, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I can definitely check in on these questions for you, Bridget and Derek, just to make sure that we have all those ducks in a row. And I should be able to get back to you by Thursday.
Okay. And do you guys already have some farmers around this area that have produce and stuff that we could talk to, or because I know just right around here it's hard to find that kind of stuff.
We've been working with, there's a man down near Nevada who owns Better Days Produce, and he's kind of been helping us connect with some farms down there and working out the logistics of that, which has been really cool, but also kind of like Derek talking with Amish farmers and getting an idea of how we don't want that to be so far from the school, and how does pickup work. And as Katie said, it can get really complicated. But I think that it's just a matter of like, where does it need to go? You know, what kind of products are you looking for too? Because it's like, we might have a farmer that's close to you, but if like you don't want, you know, cabbage or, you know, cantaloupe, or you want tomatoes and lettuce, like then it's more like kind of a matchmaking after that. But yes, we do have farmers down there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one in Deepwater just about to scale up into doing more tomatoes and lettuce in the wintertime as well. So that's not too far from Appleton.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate your efforts at Farm to School, and for our West Central colleagues, if we can be of any assistance in your areas that you work in, let us know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.